Facebook, Google, Amazon, and what's the G? Oh no, no.
The N.
The N is Netflix. Is Netflix?
Netflix,
Facebook,
yeah, Fang, yeah.
Amazon, Netflix, and Google. All four of those cases, at various points in their development, they were going after things that people thought were not important categories. Okay, when Google gets started, there's a universe of search engines. Lycos, Excite, Yahoo, So when Google gets
I
started,
can remember talking to Ron Conway about Google very early on, and I am enough of a man to admit to you, Brian, I remember thinking, what the fuck, Ron, are you doing? Like, there's a billion. We didn't call them search engines; they were called portals, right? But and there was Alta Vista and like a whole bunch of ones that nobody would ever remember, and Lycos and all this shit. And I was like, he's like, no, this is one of our big themes. We think there's a lot of untapped, market potential in search, and there's great new technology. And I just thought, kind of, that's a category that's done, man. Yahoo's the king, and you got all these other guys, and fucking A, was I wrong?
Search engine. Yeah, well, yeah. Okay. Let me go down the list real quick, because for every one of them I can give you. Amazon in the late 90s and the dot-com bubble, especially after the bubble burst, what was a bigger cliche than an e-commerce company? Because they all lost money. So, the promise of e-commerce was, it's more efficient commerce, and but not a single one of them has made a dime. And,
and the whole joke about, what are you guys going to do? Make it up on volume, right, all that shit, right?
Now, Amazon's an interesting case because they actively try not to make profits sometimes. But so Google, we didn't need another search engine. Amazon, e-commerce, the biggest joke in the world. Netflix, what was a bigger joke than trying to go against the TV studios and the Hollywood studios? Oh, you're going to deliver that over the web? I'm going to watch TV. The amount of times that I've, researched articles and people like Bill Gates, God bless him, has literally, I could give you 10 or 12 quotes where he's like, well, you're never going to want to watch TV. You're going to want to watch that on your big screen. That's why he spent so many years trying to own the living room with web TV and things like that. So, okay, Netflix.
And the other one about that, per your conversation was, I think her name was Christina on the SoundCloud discussion. Yeah. That one was so obvious, but I think I found the part of your discussion when you were talking about how interesting it was that SoundCloud and Spotify are European companies. And that the whole situation around Napster created a context that nobody was going to do anything in music in the U.S.
Yeah.
To the Netflix point, I think that also bled over into video entertainment. I think there was a lot of people who just, you looked at that and when did BitTorrent get started?
It was after Napster got shut down. I think it was 2004, because there was an intermediate. So Napster gets shut down 2002, but there was like Morpheus and Kazaa and all those, right? And then it was, so like BitTorrent was like the third generation. Netscape is the first. There's all these other second generation, and then BitTorrent, yeah.
And so I just think there was a feeling in Silicon Valley that just said this whole space is a disaster. Yeah, the bandwidth isn't there. The media companies are going to smash us in the balls. And
hey, listen, do you remember when Google bought YouTube and everyone's like, are you insane? You've just bought lawsuits up the wazoo. It turned out that Google was the perfect acquirer because their mastery of algorithms allowed them to do the thing that killed Napster. Like, Napster could have survived if they had been able to create algorithms that would allow them to take down copyrighted stuff. Well, who knows algorithms better than Google, right? And then the other thing is that by the time Google buys Yahoo, Google buys YouTube, they had the AdSense engine up and running.
They had it nailed, yeah.
And so when Napster is fighting with Hollywood and the record companies, they don't have anything to give them. There's no deal they can make. Google has a deal. It's called money. They say, you know what? Listen, if you let us keep some of your stuff up there, we'll share the money. You see those little ads along the side? So, right. So Netflix couldn't. Let me finish my point. The point you asked the question: if you're an entrepreneur starting today, what's the key? Don't ever believe that a category is too dumb. to disrupt, or too done, either too dumb, D-U-M-B, or too D-O-N-E, to disrupt. Because in all of those cases, and then Facebook, I could give you another example of, like, obviously there was already MySpace and Friendster before it, so why did you need another one? All of those four, the biggest tech companies that we know of today, were at various points called absolutely insane, and for good reason, right?